So, Coach, I guess start with free throw disparity. There's a lot of talk about it. Your thoughts about it, and then you've talked about one thing you got to do is not foul. But how do you do that and play aggressive defense? So, address those two if you could, please.
Yeah, like I've told our team, like we got to do a better job in that area of keeping people off the line, and there's certainly some of those fouls that are within our control that we got to do a better job of, and a lot of it's just hey, we're in a good position, you beat your guy, and now it's just don't reach at the end of it. So some of those, and there's not a lot, but there's a few of those. But when you're talking about 2, 3, 4 of them a game, that hey, you did a nice job, you're in a good spot, just now just finish it with some discipline at the end, and that's the 4 to 6, 8 free throws that we can eliminate, and that's the ones we're concerned about.
Anything else you can do to increase the number of free throws that you ultimately get?
Yeah, I mean it's obviously getting to the rim is a big part of that, and what your team can do to try to get there better. You're trying to play to the strengths of your team and who can do that, and what type of spots we can put them in to be able to get to the rim and be successful. So, Javon gets there quite a bit, and he needs to keep attacking because I do think there are opportunities still there that those calls are can be made at times, and he's someone that draws a lot of gravity. So when he gets in there, if there's contact, I think he'll get rewarded at some point.
You seem to be someone who's kind of reluctant to talk about it. Is it one of those things where you think they even out over time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like we have a really good rapport with the officials. They have a hard job to do. They're not trying to help one team or the other. They're things happen fast, and they're judgment calls, and they're doing the best they can. And I think we have really good officials in our league. I think they do a good job, and I certainly respect the job they do. So I don't worry about officiating. I think it's always, hey, we got to try to do our job a little bit better, and from our standpoint, the foul disparity is what it is. So let's figure out how we can make it better from our end.
Cincinnati is playing much better than when you played them. I would guess that you're not going to hold James scoreless like you did the first time. What do you see from them that's different than the first time around?
Yeah, they're playing with a lot of confidence. Even the other night at Iowa State, that game was right there, late in the game. So they really, after our game, I thought they went to Central Florida, won, played very well, especially offensively. Came back home, beat both BYU and Utah, and then lost a tough road game at Iowa State. So they're playing very well. Like they kind of found themselves. It felt like over these last 4 games.
One other thing here, just looking at wild rebounding disparities. I mean, they've either doubled up teams or gotten doubled up, and yet have won. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, even in our game, I thought that they were very aggressive offensive rebounding. That's something that we like every game, but we got to continue to make that a priority to try to keep them off the offensive glass because they do go aggressively. They've been shooting it well, so some of those, like they're scoring at a higher clip. There's not as many offensive rebounds to get on a couple of the games where those rebounds, maybe flip-flop for them, but they are a good rebounding team overall.
Are they better offensively? Are you seeing better things from them with the guys they got out there?
I think most of it's James. I mean, he's been playing at a high level. I don't have the exact stats in front of me. I think he's averaging 22 a game over his last 4. Yeah, something like that. So that's a big difference for them. And then it's now everybody else gets freed up a little bit. But he's coming off, and he's making hard ones. He's coming off. He's getting step backs from 15, step backs from 3, and getting to the rim, and just putting a lot of pressure on you to try to stop him and slow him down.
You got a bunch of open shots at Baylor, and a few went down, but a lot didn't. You live with what you had, and just think it'll come around better in terms of shots going in. Yeah,
I really liked the shots we got. Again, it's we want our guys to make them. They want to make them. They just didn't go down, like I told the team, that's all year. That's just what it is. As long as we're taking good ones and we're getting the guys we want shooting them, which we were. We can't control that as much. That game still was, if we keep them off the free throw line with 2, 4, 6 points here or there, maybe the outcome's different. And that's again, our focus will always be on what we can do better, that we can control.
How do you think your team handles the free throw disparity? Because it can affect the way you guard, it can affect the way you drive, or maybe the shots you make. I don't know if you can counsel them during the game, but after the game, before the game, is that something you manage or monitor?
Yeah, I think like we've told them, like our identity is to be physical and tough, and they've done a good job of that. We're one of the better defenses in the country for that reason. It's just a matter of cleaning those little reach fouls that's not being physical, that's not being tough. That's just you got to have a little more discipline at the end of it. Just to fight that urge to try to get that last little reach. And again, that's 4 to 6 points. That's it. That's all we're talking about. So, we've had, four games, one win and 3 tough losses. And when you're talking about games being decided by 2, 4 points, where can we find those 2 to 4 points from? And that's an area right now that we got to find it. We got to keep them off the line. We got to get to the line more.
You mentioned James, but like when you last saw Cincinnati get booed, they scored 50 points, and then just like in the next game, it wasn't like it was a slow burn.
Yeah.
Is that unusual when you're scouting teams and the first 4 games look totally different than the next 4 games in between?
Yeah, it is. From that day when we played them to the way they're playing now, and as you said, how fast it happened. It's like they just. I don't know if going on the road freed them up, and they got a bunch of. They scored a bunch of points, got a little confidence there, and then went back home and won a couple. So that's. But their talent is really good. I mean, they coming into the year, I think. Don't quote me on this. I think they got up to as high as 10th in the country in the non-conference. So they're a very good team, and we certainly know that and understand that.
First meeting, I think one of your big concerns was their lob game, and obviously with the way you guys defended, they couldn't really get into the paint, kind of shut that down. With James now kind of taking off, that probably maybe changes. I mean, now you got to maybe devote a little bit more space to go out
Right.
and cover him, and maybe that opens up the lob game. I mean, concerns, I guess.
Yeah, certainly. That's it's something we did a pretty good job of with taking away their lobs. I also felt like going back and watching the tape, they also missed some pretty good opportunities from the guards. So I don't want to count on that again. I thought on the flip side, we also made a lot of really hard shots that game. Javon had some of those at one of those nights where he's hitting step backs, and Joe was hitting 27-footers as the shot clock's running down. So there was a lot of points. It's like, I don't know if we can get those again, and I think they'll make these again. So, from the way the game played out, great. That's awesome. But I don't know that going into game 2 we can count on that again. So we got to make sure that we make the proper adjustments that we need to defensively to limit both. With James playing the way he is now. So that's going to be a big part of it. And then offensively, how can we get some better looks and not just have to rely on maybe those type of shots, throughout the game.
Just count on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
On the free throw situation, you had the same officials in the Missouri Valley Conference. Did you have at Drake the same kind of problems playing? And I assume you played the same kind of defense.
Not really. No, I mean, like I said, I think it's just a stretch we're in. Just the way the games fell, whatever. I do think our free throw defense needs to improve because they're shooting 83% right now. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that today. Yeah. But that's there's plenty for us to control there. So we just got to do a better job there.
This predates you, but there is the weekend Mountaineers at the Coliseum, and there's been the midweek Mountaineers at the Coliseum. I think it's the record's like 5 and 11 midweek games over the last 4 or 5 years. What can you do to kind of flip that around and get your team performing better in midweek games at home?
Maybe just schedule all weekend games. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Yeah. And so it's first year and things, and certainly recently we've lost some games on the midweek, but I think that's just all whatever. I don't care if it's Tuesday or Saturday. Like we need to play and play well, and We just haven't played as well in a couple of the games, a couple of tough losses midweek. But, certainly on the weekends we've got, bigger crowds and, the atmosphere is really, really lively. And we've had a little bit of bad fortune this year with just some bad weather days on the weekday games that's impacted a little bit of people being able to get here and stuff, but that's not why we've lost. Again, we got to just do our part and go play well.
Maybe more internal with the guys. Hey, you got to take care of business, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that's always the case. Like I said, whether it's Wednesday or Saturday, it's let's go play well.
I'm kind of curious. Have you had to adjust in the sense of now being at a Power 5? You've obviously had these high moments and so-so moments and low moments, and here we are now in the middle of February. West Virginia, is positioned where it is postseason wise. Whereas, if you were at Drake sitting here at 15-10, I mean, you're not on the bubble. I mean, you're not. You know what I mean? It's two completely different worlds. I'm wondering if you've had to adjust to that this year at all. Or...
No, I mean you do have to adjust a little because you are taking some more losses. But I think even whether I was at Drake or Creighton before that or here, it's like the mindset is still the next game, and that's kind of all you focus on. Losses, they hang with you a little longer, but you can't let it hang on too long because. After a game, like I'll always immediately, whether at home or road, try to go watch the game we just played and then flip it right to the next game and next opponent because by that next morning you have to have a scouting report and a game plan ready. So I think you just have to stay super disciplined in your preparation, and we try to do that after a win or a loss.
I get it, no matter what school you're at, but you do have the comfort zone to lose more here and still be able to come back from it, rebound from it. Whereas with Drake, I mean, you had to have 20 wins by, start of February pretty much to even, and then probably still win your conference tournament. I mean,
yeah,
it's two different worlds.
Right. Yeah, they're two different types of pressure probably, at Drake, we understood like you can't drop a couple that, that, and even though it's conference play, conferences are all hard, and conference play is what it is. Like you play 30-some games in any league, you're going to have some bad nights. And the good part is, we're in a league that's got a lot of really good teams, and you're going to have a couple nights that you don't have it, but you can survive those nights. But ultimately, you still have to go, win games and win enough games to get you there.
Same lines. What is your definition of a tournament team? Your definition of a tournament team?
I don't know. I mean, like,
One in
yeah.
mind.
I mean, like for us, like as you watch other teams, you as coaches, we don't get a vote, but you can go like that's a really good team. That's a tournament team. And I feel like we have one. We got to finish this season off, obviously, with some wins, but. We have the components and the makeup of a team that belongs in the NCAA tournament. Now, like I said, we still got to do our part, continue to win games. But when you have, whether it be offensively, defensively, chemistry, whatever it is, like every team's got something they hang their hat on, and I feel like we have enough components there that we have a team that can make the NCAA tournament and go win some games, and that comes down to playing well when that time comes. But we're late in the year. You're getting a little down that stretch run, so we understand right now it's none of that stuff matters. It doesn't matter what I think or anybody else thinks. We have to keep winning games.
The year you made it as an at-large, any similarities to now?
Say that again.
The year you made it as an at-large at Drake, like any similarities to like how you're trying to finish here? And I mean, because the outcome is the same ideally, right? But like with Drake, kind of rare, right, to do it as an at-large. And here, 8 teams, 9 teams in the conference can make it. Anything that reminds you of that experience or you can draw on?
Maybe they were a little different. That was also the COVID year, so there was no fans, and we were playing back-to-back Saturday, Sunday games, and so there was just a lot of different things going on that year. But no, I just think everybody right now. It's February. It's it's that time all the games are magnified and you know, they all matter, but now everybody's got an increased importance on each game, and there's none more important to us right now than Wednesday night.
What can you recall about the way they guarded Javon the first game? And then it almost seemed like they had two different tactics, like plan A didn't work and they went to plan B.
Yeah, they did a few different things. You know, early in the game they were kind of icing the ball screens. Then they went to a little bit of almost trapping out of the ice or being more aggressive in it, and then they did a little bit of switching as well, especially when Amani was in the game, and they switched some of those ball screens. So kind of threw a little bit of everything at us in that particular game.
Now, seen almost everybody in the Big 12 except for two. So your perception of what you thought the league would be like before you started playing and the reality now that you've seen it.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what we thought it would be. Like, you know, physical, tough league, well coached, good players, great fan bases. It's you know, it's every night is you got to be ready to go, and there's just no nights off. And when you talk about a 20 game schedule, it's a good one. You know, so you got to get like I said, we got to get our guys you know, each and every night ready to finish this you know, 20 game slate that we just went through. But it's that time of year where it's like you got to really dig in now, and you know, that every opponent you have is still a quad 1, quad 2 team. So plenty of opportunities, but plenty of challenges also at the same time.
Because of the way, yes, if we played at Cincinnati, do you factor that in, thinking that, you know, it'll probably be a little bit bigger part of their defensive plan tomorrow?
I'm sure he will be. You know, to be honest, there was just some of the shots he made. You know, one was like at 29 feet with 1 second on the clock. One was right before half. He had a couple other ones too, in transition and things. So, you know, I'd love for him to go 6 for 6 again. I'll make sure and get him a couple more shots this time. So that'd be a really good deal. Thank you all.